The open road, a symbol of endless possibilities, a path leading to unknown adventures and new beginnings. It represents freedom, the thrill of the journey, and the excitement of the unknown. But as the sun sets and the shadows grow longer, the road also leads to places less traveled, places that hold secrets and stories untold. But what waits at the roadside, beckoning weary travelers with flickering neon signs? Motels. These seemingly innocuous establishments offer a brief respite from the journey, a place to rest and recharge. Yet, they are more than just places of transient solace and anonymity. Often they harbour something far more sinister, hidden behind their thin walls and locked doors. They stand like sentinels of the night, silent witnesses to countless stories, some mundane, others filled with mystery and dread. Each room holds the potential for secrets, each door a barrier to the unknown, each room a potential crime scene. The walls have seen and heard things that would make the bravest shudder. The anonymity of motels makes them a perfect backdrop for nefarious deeds. Each guest a stranger with an unknown past. They come and go, leaving behind traces of their lives, their secrets, and sometimes their crimes. Motels are liminal spaces, existing between destinations. They are places of transition where people pause before continuing their journey. But for some, they become the final stop. They are temporary homes for travelers, but also for those on the run, those seeking to disappear, or those with something to hide. The transient nature of motels makes them ideal for those who wish to remain unnoticed. This inherent transience breeds an unsettling atmosphere. The constant flow of strangers, the fleeting interactions, the sense of impermanence, all contribute to a feeling of unease. It's a breeding ground for fear, a canvas upon which our darkest anxieties are projected. The isolation, the unfamiliarity, the sense of being far from home all amplify our fears. The isolation of a motel room, far from home and familiarity, amplifies every creak of the floorboards, every rustle outside the window. The silence is deafening, broken only by the occasional unsettling noise. The flickering neon sign outside casts long, distorted shadows that dance across the walls, fueling our primal fear of the dark. These shadows seem to come alive, playing tricks on our minds. It's in these shadows, in the silence of a motel room at night, that our imaginations run wild. Every creak, every whisper of the wind becomes a potential threat. We become acutely aware of our vulnerability, our isolation. The thin walls offer little protection, and the sense of being alone in an unfamiliar place heightens our senses. Every sound, every movement outside our door could be a threat. And sometimes it is. The unknown lurks just beyond the door, and the fear of what might be out there keeps us on edge, making every moment in a motel a test of our nerves. The annals of true crime are littered with motel murders. These seemingly innocuous places, often seen as mere pit stops for weary travelers, have become the settings for some of the darkest chapters in criminal history. These establishments, with their anonymity and ease of access, have served as grim backdrops for some of the most notorious crimes in history. The transient nature of motels, where guests come and go without much scrutiny, creates an environment ripe for nefarious activities. The names themselves send shivers down our spines. The Cecil Hotel, a place infamous for its dark history and numerous deaths. The Wineville Chicken Coop murders, a series of gruesome killings that shocked the nation, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a horror film inspired by the real-life crimes of Ed Gein, who used isolated locations to carry out his macabre deeds. Take the case of Gerald and Charlene Gallego, who terrorized California in the late 1970s. Their reign of terror involved using motels as hunting grounds, where they would abduct young couples. They subjected their victims to unspeakable horrors before discarding their bodies. The couple's ability to move from one motel to another allowed them to evade capture for a significant period. The transient nature of motels allowed them to move undetected, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. Each new location provided a fresh hunting ground, a new opportunity to commit their heinous acts without drawing immediate suspicion. Then there's the infamous case of Jeffrey Dahmer. Known as the Milwaukee Cannibal, Dahmer lured victims to motel rooms where he committed unspeakable acts of violence and depravity. The isolation and anonymity of these spaces provided the perfect cover for his horrific crimes. The walls of these rooms, which should have offered safety and privacy, instead witnessed unimaginable horrors. The isolation and anonymity of these spaces provided the perfect cover for his horrific crimes. The walls of these rooms, which should have offered safety and privacy, instead witnessed unimaginable horrors. These real-life horrors cement the motel's place in our collective consciousness as places of potential danger. The veneer of normalcy can easily be peeled away to reveal something far more sinister lurking beneath the surface. The stories of these killers and their victims continue to haunt us, serving as grim reminders that the evil that lurks in the shadows can sometimes take tangible, terrifying form. The stories of these killers and their victims continue to haunt us, serving as grim reminders that the evil that lurks in the shadows can sometimes take tangible, terrifying form. Each tale, each crime, adds another layer to the chilling reputation of motels, serving as grim reminders that the evil that lurks in the shadows can sometimes take tangible, terrifying form. As we check into these roadside havens, we are reminded of the dark history that may lie behind the closed doors, and the unsettling truth that sometimes the most ordinary places can harbor the most extraordinary evils. Beyond the realm of true crime, motels have become fertile ground for urban legends and ghost stories. These tales, passed down through generations, often revolve around tragic deaths, restless spirits, and unexplained phenomena. They tap into our primal fears, reminding us that death is never far away, especially not in these transient spaces. One such legend is that of Room 13. It's said that this room in various motels across the country is cursed. Guests who dare to stay there report strange noises, cold spots, and even apparitions. Some stories claim that Room 13 is haunted by the ghost of a murdered guest seeking revenge from beyond the grave. Then there are the tales of vanishing hitchhikers, ghostly children playing in the corridors, and spectral figures lurking in the reflections of motel windows. These stories, whether true or fabricated, prey on our deepest fears, blurring the lines between reality and nightmare. They remind us that even in the supposed safety of a locked room, we are not alone. Something may be watching us from the shadows, waiting for us to let our guard down. The very architecture and ambience of many motels lend themselves to feelings of unease. These structures, often built decades ago, seem to carry the weight of countless untold stories and secrets within their walls. The often isolated locations far from the bustle of city life create a sense of vulnerability. These motels are frequently found on the outskirts of towns, along desolate highways, or nestled in remote areas, making them feel cut off from the safety and familiarity of civilization. The buildings themselves, with their aging facades, peeling paint, and dimly lit corridors, exude an air of neglect and decay. The wear and tear, visible on the exterior, often mirrors the sense of abandonment and desolation that permeates the atmosphere. The flickering neon signs, meant to be welcoming beacons, instead cast an unsettling glow, illuminating the seedy underbelly of these roadside havens. The erratic flicker of the lights can evoke a sense of instability and unpredictability, adding to the overall feeling of unease. The windows, often covered by heavy curtains or blinds, seem to hide more than they reveal, making us wonder who or what might be watching us from behind their darkened glass. The obscured view can create a sense of paranoia, as if unseen eyes are constantly observing our every move. Inside the rooms, the decor is often sparse and utilitarian, devoid of any personal touch. The lack of warmth and individuality in the furnishings can make the space feel impersonal and cold, as if it exists in a state of perpetual transience. The silence is broken only by the hum of the air conditioner or the distant rumble of a passing truck, amplifying the feeling of isolation. These sounds, though mundane, can become amplified in the stillness, creating an eerie soundtrack to the solitude. Even the most mundane objects, a flickering television screen, a dripping faucet, a creaking closet door, can take on a sinister quality in this environment. The ordinary becomes extraordinary, as every small noise or movement is magnified by the oppressive silence. Every shadow seems to hold a hidden threat, every creak of the floorboard a potential intruder. The mind begins to play tricks, turning the simplest of sounds into harbingers of danger. The motel, once a symbol of freedom and possibility, becomes a prison of our own anxieties. The very place meant to offer rest and respite transforms into a setting for our deepest fears and insecurities to come to life, making us question the safety and security we once took for granted. While urban legends and fictional accounts of motel horrors send chills down our spines, it's the real-life stories that truly terrify. Tales of unexplained events, strange encounters and eerie coincidences plague travelers who dare to spend a night in these roadside abodes. Online forums are filled with first-hand accounts from people who claim to have experienced the paranormal in motels. Guests report seeing shadowy figures lurking in the corners of their rooms, hearing disembodied voices whispering their names, and feeling an oppressive presence that chills them to the bone. Some recount waking in the night to find objects moving on their own, doors slamming shut and lights flickering erratically. Others describe a feeling of being watched, followed or even touched by unseen hands. While some of these experiences can be attributed to overactive imaginations or the power of suggestion, others remain unexplained, leaving a lingering sense of unease and a nagging question: what if it's real? These real-life encounters serve as a stark reminder that the line between the irrational and the supernatural can be thin indeed, especially within the confines of a secluded motel room.